All right, I think that we are live. Sorry for the delay, guys. I was trying to get Patti logged in as a guest, and I've never done this before, and we ended up having to use her account instead, but now we're all good. So I'm here live with Patti Sampson. She's a broker in Arizona, and she started teaching agents how to use CRM solutions because she's had so much success with it herself. So Patti, I'll just let you introduce yourself and tell everybody your history.
Well, thanks. I'm so excited to be here with everybody. Thank you so much. Karin and I were just talking. She goes, it's 100 degrees over in Savannah, and I'm in Phoenix and Scottsdale. It's supposed to be that hot now. It's literally 75 degrees out here. We've had the freakiest weather. But yeah, as Karin, thank you for having me, Karin. As Karin said, I am a real estate broker. I'm an associate broker here in Scottsdale. And I basically started my career after 17 years of working in the legal field and pretty much couldn't push paper from right to left anymore, and decided I was going to go try to find something I could do that would get me making most money as I possibly could make in the shortest amount of time, changing careers with 2 teenage boys at home as a single mother. I quit my job cold turkey and went and got my real estate license. I always tell people it was the best thing I ever did. So the first year that I started, though, this first 6 months was kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I did one deal, like most of us did, and then I realized I needed to either figure this out or I needed to go back and do legal work, and that scared the crap out of me. So there was no way I was going to do that. So I found a company which will remain nameless at this point that gave me, hundreds of leads a month, hundreds. Now, on the surface, that sounds like awesome, right? On the surface, it was kind of cool at the start, but I thought, if I can't figure this out, what am I going to do? This was in 04, right? So what am I going to do at the height of the market if I can't get a warm body to work with me out of all of these people? But, how do you manage a database of 100 to 150 leads a month, And I was an employee of the company too, which was kind of weird the way it worked. But anyway, so we had to get in and work our database off of this proprietary CRM tool that they had, that we were given. And because I spent 17 years in the legal field, I was kind of the queen of automation. For me back then, I was saying a lot of the same things over and over again. So I had created my own templates, and I did the same thing in real estate. So I did lawsuit templates, and I learned how to merge in the day when we didn't really have like Windows computers back in the day. Like I had an electronic typewriter when I first started. For anybody who's been in the industry, any kind of office environment, so I had an electronic typewriter that gave me an option to put a macro in that I could type 45 characters and hit a code. It would hit a code, and then it would pop in those things that I would say over and over again. Anyway, long story short, I ended up doing that in my real estate career, but back then we didn't have like the tools to automate the emails, so I would have this whole set of mail. And we didn't have texting at that time, really. And I would pay my kid, I kid you not, 10 cents a copy and paste for him to sit down, and I would just run a search in my database, and I'd say, okay, kid, just copy and paste this in for this entire list. And then I would give him a code, and it was basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever email they were on. And then I would give myself a reminder to go back in and send the next one, and you just keep sending the next one and sending the next one. And then, in the end, I sold 42 homes my first year in real estate working that. Kind of what I hear when you finally kicked it in, it's kind of like, all right, I think I got this figured out. But the great thing is because I typed 100 words a minute, I could take what was going on up here and put it down on my computer, right? So it was real casual. And one of the tricks I had to learn was, what was I going to say to get that mail open? So what does that start with? The subject line, right? We got to make sure we got our subject lines right and get people knowing, number one, that we're realtors from the very, very start. Because if you go in your inbox and you look at the kind of crap you get, honestly, you realize that there's so much in there you just turn a blind eye to, even if you sign up for it, right?
So what are some secrets then to what's a good subject line? Is that my microphone? What's a good subject line that would get people to open it?
It could be bouncing. If you want, I can put my headset on it, because sometimes it's really loud and it bounces back. Let me see if I can put this on. It might help a little bit. All right, well, we can talk about subject lines and the things that are most important. I think with regard, can you hear me okay? Everybody all right?
Yep, I hear you good.
So with regard to subject lines, I have kind of a strict rules on certain things that I make sure all my subject lines always do. And the first thing is that consumer needs to know that we are a realtor. And so there's two things that go into that. It's not just the subject line, it's also the from line. You know how when you have your Google account, you put in your name, and so when stuff goes out, it says, okay, it's coming from Patti Sampson. It's coming from Karin Carr. Thing is that I like to use my from line in conjunction with my subject line and not have to explain in my subject line that I'm a realtor. So I go into all of my accounts, my CRM, my Gmail, start there and make sure that you've got something in there saying that you're an agent. So change up your last name or remove your last name, because at this point, who cares what your last name is? You just want to let them know that, so if you get an email from me on my real estate business, it's going to say Patti Sampson, AZ Realtor. That's what it says on my from line, because it's set up in my account that way. So then I don't have to say, hey, in my subject line, this is Patti, your realtor. I don't say that. So
yeah, and you taught me that. You said go into your CRM and
right.
On their profile page, it says first name Karin. My last name is Carr, realtor.
Yes.
So every single email that I send, it's Karin Carr, realtor in the from line. And that was a great idea. I love that.
Well, and it's going to increase obviously they know who you are, that you're an agent. Now think about it. We're out here buying leads. So this is just the start of the conversation, but we're out here buying leads, say from Zillow, right? And we know on Zillow that people will click on a button and ask for information about a house. Now, if they're not paying attention, it's defaulting to go out. That particular lead is going to go to 4 people.
Right.
One of them is going to be the listing agent, assuming the listing agent has their account set up in Zillow, which, by the way, you guys can all set that up for free in there if you've got listings. But you need to do that. But the other 3 people are going to be the premier agents that are paying in that zip code to be there. And so if the consumer is now getting hounded by 4 agents, if the agents are doing their job, and frankly, most of them are, but let's just say all 4 of them are. Now they're getting emails from strange Patti Sampson, and the subject line says, let's meet for coffee, or I just left you a message, or, thanks for the registration. He's like, where in there does that say anywhere that you're a real estate agent? So if your from line says, Patti Sampson realtor or agent or whatever you want to say, you could say home specialist, I don't care what it is. Don't make it too long. But then your subject line says, thank you about your Zillow home registration, or information about you got to mention Zillow, or however it is they got to you right off the bat, or just something about their home search, right?
Right.
What do you think the chances are of having your mail open? So for me also, so I'm always going to say something about whatever it is I'm trying to promote, or what I'm paying for, or whatever it is. If it's real estate related, you got to mention houses, property, the city they're searching, maybe a hot buying tip or something. I actually have a full list that my tips that I'm happy to share with you guys. But you got to mention something about real estate in that subject line, because they're, after a while, and it needs to be every single time. Like, even if they start to think they know you're making a mistake, even 6 months from now, changing it up, because, it doesn't need to be the same every time. Like, one of my favorites is quick question about your home search, because if they know it's quick and it's a question, they're going to open it up. Just take it and seal it. And you don't, there's a lot of other little tips about it, but that's what you want to do. And another thing I love to do, and we can do it in most of our CRMs, is put a field, like if it's a template, or if I'm just going to manually type it out, I always put their name in the subject line as well. So it might say, Karin, about your home search, in Scottsdale, right? So you don't want to give away the store. You don't want to tell them exactly what's in your letter, because if you do, they're going to decide whether or not they're going to open it, right? So, what do we know? If people don't open our mail, we're never going to get a response. So that's, that's number one.
Yep.
So
One of the things that I had learned when I went to the Bomb Bomb conference a couple weeks ago is they said if you put their name in the subject line, and if there's a video in your email and you put the word video in the subject line, that's a great way to get them to click on it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So video, that's a whole nother thing in our emails, right? Especially. So how much do you do that? Do you do much video emailing, Karin?
I do a ton.
Right.
I wasn't very good about it for a long time. And then the more the YouTube thing took off, the more that I do it. So now I have a generic video that just says, hey, thank you so much for filling out that form on my website. One of my team members is going to reach out to you, because usually it's not me. One of my team members is going to reach out to you. We are very excited to help you, whether you're looking to move now or a year from now. We're happy to answer whatever questions you have. So, we'll talk to you soon. And then that's an auto reply. They usually watch it because it's a video. I don't say their name personally because it's a generic video that's going to go out automatically. Right. But back in the day, before I got super busy, I would pull over on the side of the road and grab my phone and be like, hey, Yolanda, thank you so much. And so they almost always open that because they have your name right in it, which they loved.
Right. And if you do that,
if you've got so many leads coming in, you just can't do that.
I don't know where my little
video.
I had this little thing on my desk that you and I'd shown it to you last week. It was laying here. It's such a mess, my desk. And, you guys like standard realtors, it's just got crap laying everywhere. I so need to get organized. But anyway, what I would do is if you knew you did want to do that, you could have a little whiteboard, which I had in my office, and I'm sure you've shown this before. But you could do something like if you are going to send exactly, and then this becomes the thumbnail if you've got one like a BombBomb or a Line Desk or whatever systems you're using that you can email video out of. That's great.
It's like a little GIF. It's even better than a thumbnail because it's animated. And so when it says video and Patti in the subject line, they open the email and they see this little GIF with their name on it.
Right.
They know that you made that video for them. And boy, those get such, you can see, so I use Line Desk, and when we send one of those, you can see when they open the email, you can see when they watch the video, that tells you the engagement that you're getting. And I know that BombBomb does that too. I'm not sure if other CRMs do video as well. I've been using Line Desk for years, so I don't really know the difference. But it's great to be able to see that those emails are getting opened and the videos are getting clicked on.
Well, and I think definitely if you're getting, if you've got a CRM, like I use Line Desk as well. I've used every CRM under the sun, by the way, but right now I'm using Line Desk pretty significantly, and as you know, I train on it. But what I really encourage people to do is to use the emails that you're sending as hot buying signs. So you get notified, if you've got a good CRM, that will notify you every day that someone's opened your mail and someone's clicked your links. It's a hotter buying sign than you see people engaging with you, right? So even if the content never gets a response, you then can spend your energy focusing on the people that are actually showing engagement with what you're doing. So if you don't have one of those cool websites that you can actually get into the back end, see people saving homes and that kind of stuff, this is the next best way to do it, right? And it's been huge for us because I don't personally want to spend time on a database full of deadbeats. And I wouldn't be able to know who's a deadbeat unless I had something going out that was engaging or not engaging, right?
Absolutely.
So that's really the big thing. And then, the whole call to action thing is a whole nother thing. If you want, I can chat about that because, we're notorious as saying, oh, let me know when you're ready. I'll be here for you. Well, that is not a call to action, people. What's a call to action? It's a question.
Right.
Flat out ask them a question and don't give them everything. Oh, I got this great buyer guide. Here it is. Enjoy. And then they get it and go, isn't that nice? And they never write you back.
So instead you would say, hey, I've got a great buyer guide. Would you like a copy?
That's exactly it.
And you wait for them to respond? Okay, got it.
You give them a little taste of what's in it or whatever it is you have, relocation guide, or in my state, we have this thing called the Arizona Buyer Advisory and Seller Advisory. So these are documents that have a ton of links in them that they can do research on. And so, God, you know, when we start talking about content, we'll talk about that in a minute, but that you just give them a little taste of what they're going to get, and then say, hey, I have it, but I never want to fill your inbox up with unwanted information. Can you let me know? Do you want it? And make it the last thing that you say. Don't ask it somewhere in the middle and then start talking about more stuff, because they're going to forget by the end of the email if they get that far, right? Make it
So
fast.
how effective is that strategy? Like, obviously you've sent probably millions of emails in the last however many years. So when you do that, when you close your email by asking that question and saying, I don't want to fill up your your inbox with unwanted email, how well does that work for you?
It's incredible. And another thing that happens is that they tend to write back saying, oh, you're not doing that. Please, I'm opening everything you're sending me. I'm looking at everything you're sending me. I'm just not ready, right? We're just trying to feel them out, right?
That is so cool. I love that.
And here's another tip. Say something like, I never want, this isn't anything you're going to do at the beginning of a brand new lead thing, but you'll say something like, I never want to be a nuisance. You know, I don't want to be a nuisance, but I have been sending you stuff for the last 6 months. And you don't want to tell them that you know they're looking at things, because then now you're the stalker, right? Even though if they're smart and savvy, they probably know this, but you don't want to like, hey, I see you're on my website right now. You know, I mean, that's not good. But you say, I don't want to be a nuisance, but I've been sending you this stuff for months now. I don't want to keep filling your inbox up with stuff you don't want. Is it what you want? Can you tell me what it is? Because I'm just here to help. No obligation, you know, and believe it or not, you say no obligation, please don't turn people off by getting mad because they tell you they're working with another agent, or they tell you something that you get mad and say, well, then screw you, I'm not going to write you anymore. Well, here's what's going to happen. They're getting online and running other searches and they may say they have an agent, right? But the reality is that if they really were committed to that agent, do you think they'd be on Zillow asking for help?
Exactly.
Even though a lot of times they'll say, well, I didn't want to bother my agent, because I mean, if you've ever called leads and they say they have an agent, you know, then you're like, why? And there's a reason you're not using your agent. Can you let me know? I mean, and they would say, oh, I didn't want to bother them, whatever. But I still say, keep sending them stuff, because I'll just say, if it's all right, I'll just keep sending you stuff, because if circumstances change, I'll be here. Don't get this attitude like, well, I'm not going to help them out. I'm not going to help that agent out, because as soon as you shut down, you're going to lose an opportunity to get their business at some point. I usually will say, well, I'm sure they know Scottsdale as well as I do. On the other hand, I don't have a problem continuing to send you stuff, right? Because if circumstances change, I'll be here. And I don't want to step on the toes of other hardworking agents if they're doing their job for you. But, you know, we could have a whole conversation about what happens when you call leads. But this is kind of, I mean, the numbers of deals I've done with people that claimed they had agents, you know, it's kind of like
all the time. It happens all the time where they say they have an agent, and then you hear from them out of the blue, and they say, like, I got a call the other day from this guy that said, I've been following you on YouTube for probably a year. We were looking to buy a house. We had an agent. We've been calling and calling and calling. This person won't return our phone calls. This is the house that I want to see. I will sign a buyer brokerage agreement with you if you can get me in to see this house. And I looked it up and I said, it went pending yesterday. Yeah. So now he's like, okay, I will not be using that agent anymore.
Right.
Obviously, right? So it happens all the time where if you just keep in touch and you don't badmouth the other agent, I personally don't ever do that. You don't want to badmouth the other agent, and just let them know that if anything ever changes, I'm here. You'd be surprised at how many times they actually do come back to you.
Oh, absolutely. But if you disappear because you're like, well, I'm not going to give them any. Yeah, you're gone. You're gone. I mean, you'll never get the opportunity again. Never get the opportunity again. So that offer works really well as well to re-engage old leads. So we're going to talk about, you know, guides and offering up stuff to get people interested. You got an old pile of stale leads and you're wondering, oh, you know, I wonder what the story is with these people. I mean, start out with that. I mean, I got a new guide that, you know, a new Scottsdale home selling guide. Just curious if you're interested in it. You know, I'm just checking in. Or did you ever buy or sell your house? It could be a home selling guide, a home buyer guide, whatever it is. And that is my, little secret. I mean, it's not a secret, but I'm just saying that thing works really, really well. And I helped some dude out, and this was one thing is I got my phone's buzzing in my, I helped this guy out. I help people out all the time, and we turned on 1,000 campaigns one day, and it was probably about 3 in the afternoon.
Campaigns
1,000 drip campaigns.
People.
It was 1,000 campaigns to 1,000 people in one shot.
Okay.
And we turned it on, and within seconds within turning it on, which included stuff like this, he was getting responses. So we got off the phone or off the Zoom call when we were on, and the next morning he calls me up. He goes, "Patti, I'm ready to kill myself." And I go, "Why?" And he said, "Because I got 190 responses from last night to now." And I go, "Oh, okay, well, cool." I go, "So what's your problem?" And he goes, "Well, I stayed up all night to write them all back." I'm like, "And these people hadn't heard from you in like 3 years, and I'm pretty sure they could have waited through the night to hear back from you." But at the same time, he's like, "Yeah, well, I just was so stressed out. I didn't know what I was doing." And I'm like, "Okay, well, that's fine." He goes, "But I got to tell you something." I go, "What?" He goes, "I got 4 listing appointments out of it." I'm like, "Okay, overnight in 12 hours, you got 4 listing appointments off of this drip campaign that I turned on." Amazing. So my suggestion is, when you're going to do something along those lines, then, that you don't overwhelm yourself. If this is someone like you, where you just like, I got to deal with everything the minute it comes in, so turn on 50 at a time, turn on 100. I train agents now all day long and say, hey, if you've got a big database, you really don't want to, let's really group them and determine, let this group here is going to get this, and we're only going to turn on these many, because if you're going to be out running around today, you really don't want to, overdo it, so that you can have time to respond fast, because people are going to expect you to respond fast. 66% of the time, consumers will work with the agent who responds first. Right. Plus, according to NAR, right? Unfortunately, 42% of us never respond to our leads, which is really, really, really sad, when we know that if the first person to respond, so if you're brand new to real estate, right? I mean, it's kind of like all you need to do is respond. And then when they ask you how long you've been in real estate, you just say, "Oh, it seems like forever." Tell them why and how you got into real estate, and change the subject. Just tell them it was the best thing you ever did. That's what, I mean, you can BS your way through anything, right? I got all kinds of tips on that.
She's full of nuggets. I'm making comments in the comments of like, nugget number 1 was this, nugget number 2 was this.
Yeah. Oh, good. Thank you.
Knowledge bombs you're dropping.
Yeah.
So is it okay if I ask you some specific questions that came from the people in the group? Okay. Cool.
Oh, yeah. Hey, people in the group.
So let's see. The first question that they all were asking when I just announced, when I go live with Patti, what do you want to know? They were like, what's the best CRM? What is your answer to that question? Because I know that you're a Lion Desk user now, but what is your answer to that question?
Well, here's the thing. I got a lot of comments about it. Like I've said, I've been in a lot of different CRMs, and first and foremost, most people will take into consideration affordability. So, and that really has to come into play when you feel like that you're going to be strapped. But I will say this, that you are going to get what you pay for, okay? So you can get into like a free account like Lion Desk, and I offer free 30-day trials. Everybody's got that. But reality is that you want to make sure that you understand it. It's just like when you go into, I always compare it to like when you go into a house with a client, and I usually will set them up in the car and say, all right, here's the deal. We're going to see 10 homes. Believe it or not, in our market, I could do that really fast. And so I'm not into just hanging out in a house that you don't like. So the minute you get in there, if you feel that's not going to work for you, then give it a chance, but then get the hell out, because I'm not here to hang out if it isn't going to work. But here's the problem I have, that because this is kind of like that when you're considering CRMs. I've had so many people say, I just can't get past the first screen, and weirdly enough, there is this, when you go into software, you get in and your eyes start to cross. If you've shut down the minute you walk in, there's a chance that it will be a problem for you for the rest of the time you try to use it. But my feeling is really, you've got to get in there every single day. I tell agents, you've got whatever CRM you get into, and you make a decision for at least a while to give it a try, that you need to give it a try. And that means learning it. You can't just go in and set it up one time or watch a couple videos and think you got it down. And then you load it up with a bunch of data, people, and then you think you've got it all cleaned up, and then you never go back in there. I mean, this is not how our business works. I tell people this needs to be your office. Just like we get up and we come into my messy office, this is another part of my extension of my office, is to know that when you're getting the activity, that you'd be stupid not to get in there. So the problem we have is that we're only using it for, say, drip campaigns, right? But if you're not sending out decent stuff and you're not getting engagement, you're not able to go in there and search it for the hot business, because it's a tool to be used to help mine your database. So you need to understand every aspect of it, and it starts by having a clean database and then feeling good about coming in there and knowing that if I had 30 minutes to do a search to identify who do I want to try to communicate with today, that I could actually run that search and find them, right? And that's our problem, because we're not in there doing anything to help us track what's going on. And it is, if you just have a CRM that's separate from a website, on a website, if you can get into the back end, say like your Easy Agent Pro or your Playster site or my Ylopo site or your KV Core, your Conversion Boom, all of those, you can actually go in and see activity, right? But you also want to be able to see, are they engaging with what you're sending outside of looking at listings, right? Because there's a difference between sending listings and engaging campaigns to get people to talk to you. Because people will look at properties all day long, but if you don't encourage some sort of response, right? So it's a combination of having all of these things before you can decide which one's best. So my answer to that, the simple and honest truth, is the one that you're going to use.
Right. That's what everybody says. But I think that's really key when you talk about the price, because, there are great CRMs out there that cost massive amounts of money, and they might be awesome, but if it's just out of the budget, it's out of the budget. And
it's overwhelming because of the price. They usually will charge more when there's a lot more bells and whistles in it. Mm-hmm. And those bells and whistles can be more based on, they clicked on this link, so I'm going to now send them over to this drip campaign, because it's put automatically. Yeah. But the reality is that 99% of us just don't have it. The time, energy, we're too tech challenged. Even for me to set stuff up like that is a whole lot of brain power, right?
Great. You kind of have to hire somebody to do all that stuff for you. I mean, to say, if they click this, then they go here. It's like, that's way beyond my capabilities.
Well, and on that thing, I hear a lot of people say, well, I want to put people on a 10-day a pain campaign, and then I want them to switch over to this one and then that one. I'm like, okay, first of all, why are you creating more work for yourself if you don't have one of those things that will automatically move it from one thing to another, and most of us don't? Then why not just create one really good long campaign and do those 10 days of pain at the very beginning of that? And then if they respond, you decide if you're going to turn it off or leave certain things on or off in it. And then otherwise, just let the damn thing run. I mean, why go in there and create more work for yourself by going, okay, the first 10 days I'm going to do this, and then I've got to go in here and give myself a reminder to go move them over to this one. Oh, shoot me now, right? No, we don't have time for that, nor do we want to do that. That's how I've been successful. I just put a reminder in at the end of my 1-year campaign that says, hey, it's been a year, you might want to go do something else with them, or find, or call them, or, you can set reminders up in your campaigns too, right into campaigns, if you do it right.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
There are free CRMs, like HubSpot is, as far as I know, is completely free, but the problem is it is just a database. It is not specific to real estate. So you have to completely customize it.
Create everything. Right.
For no money, you have to put in a lot of time. Then there are the ones like LionDesk and Realty Juggler and Wise Agent.
They're built specifically
and all the other ones that are like built specifically for real estate, and they're a I would say a pretty modest investment, you know, $25 to $50 a month to have something that will manage all of your clients. I think it's totally reasonable. Then there's the high end stuff that costs thousands and thousands of dollars. And so you just got to figure out what is your budget. And then luckily you can get like a free trial period of almost every single CRM. So try one, get in there, use it every single day, watch the tutorials. You can pretty much be successful with any CRM that you decide to use as long as you are consistent with using it, right?
Exactly. And so that is absolutely true, Karin. And you have to you got to know that this is where you're going to head every day, because the activity will start to happen if you got the right stuff going. Okay. And so when you talk about testing them out, there's this overwhelming, oh my God, I got to learn it. How am I going to test it? I don't want to put my entire database in there. I got 10,000 leads and then find out I don't like it. So my suggestion, excuse me, is to pull in 100 of your old stale leads, because those are the ones that have been sitting there and there's a good chance they might be ready to do something now, and then turn on a great re-engagement campaign for them and just see what happens. And then it's going to force you to come in and check it. It's going to also probably get you to the point where, oh my God, this is working, so maybe I'll throw another 100 in. And so you're not overwhelming yourself, because most of us will just get totally shut down with the idea that this has to get done. So if you're pulling them, say, out of a top producer, just run a search for those old stale leads, and hopefully you can, and you just pull them in and import them really quickly, correctly, I say correctly and really quickly, into a CRM that you think you'll use. Now, I'm going to talk about LionDesk because that's the one I'm using. I actually did just create, literally this week, rolled it out, a jumpstart course for exactly this exact thing I'm telling you about. Is if you're considering it, or you're brand new, you know, and you're using a tool that you just don't like and you can't figure out what to do, why not give it a try? It's free trial, right?
Right.
So this jumpstart where I'm going to show you how to clean your database up, because it does need to start there. And if you don't know two major things about your database, you're going to have a hell of a time turning on drip campaigns. And the two most important things, write this down, tidbits. You need to know what kind of lead it is. Is it a buyer? Is it a seller, right? Or maybe you're doing property management or rental or tenant business or something like that. And then you need to know what is the status. Okay, so the status is going to be, is it brand new into your system, right? And it's brand new, you've never talked to them. Is it somebody that you're prospect? I like to call them prospecting, because that's what LionDesk has, these different statuses in there. But I would call somebody that I'm talking to, but not necessarily working with yet. We're communicating. They text me, I wrote them. They haven't told me to get lost yet, you know, and that kind of stuff. Those are prospecting leads, right? And then your next level would be active. Those are people you're actively working with, like you're showing homes to, or you're getting ready to, or you've got listing, right? You're getting ready to. Basically, how I think of my actives are people that I do not want getting a campaign from me, a random engagement campaign that tomorrow, like I'll be out showing them homes today, and then tomorrow they might get a text from the system that says, hey, how's your home search coming? You don't want that. So basically, you don't want a campaign on for those people. And then you've got your closed people, right? And when you know closed seller, right, we know that was a closed seller. You will always leave your type, like buyer, seller, in the last thing that you were with them, because then all you're doing is changing the statuses. Because you're going to, that way you can come in and say, I've got a closed seller, I'm going to send this stuff out to that closed seller. I have a closed buyer, I'm going to send this stuff. What do you think the difference is communicating with a closed seller versus a closed buyer? Anybody have an idea? Chime in down there and see if you know. There's a difference, right? The things you're going to send to a closed seller will be different than a closed buyer. And so you need to know these things. So then you can go in and run a search and bucketize everybody. These people in this bucket at this status and this type is getting this. And these people in this status and this bucket is getting this. It's that easy. And most of them are going to be getting re-engagement stuff from you, because they're older than dirt, right? And we're trying to revive, shake some bushes up and get some things coming out of it, right? So kind of a long, detailed answer to what's.
No, this is awesome. I'm like really writing all this stuff down. Two things you need to know is what type of a lead is it, and what is the status of this lead.
Right.
What do you feel is a good CRM? I mean, I pretty sure I know what you're going to say, for incorporating video into your CRM. And if you have a CRM system that does not currently let you embed a video in there, what do you think is a good workaround?
Oh, well, yeah, and you know I'm going to have an answer for that. So of course, we are using LionDesk, and one of the reasons I like using LionDesk because they have it built in instead of spending another $99 for BombBomb if you don't have it. Now there is a benefit to BombBomb because you can send longer videos and that, but as far as just having it built in, you can basically just take your phone and, you know, dump it right. Like if you go to an open house and you've got an open house campaign, you're going to get there a little early. You won't be wearing what I'm wearing, but you'll have something on like Karen's got on with her beautiful earrings. And then you're going to tape yourself. You're going to record yourself saying, thanks so much for visiting me today at the open house, right? You're not going to name them, but you're wearing the clothes, right, that you have on, and you're going to plug that into your standard drip campaign, right? So you've already got a template. And then you just, if you can automate them signing up into your open house, for instance, right? So the CRM can then, when they come in and go out, then you just press a button the minute they come in, or you add them in, or, you know, it can be automated if they come in and sign in electronically. So I like LionDesk for that reason. Now, if you don't have a CRM that has it built in and you want to do it on the cheap, then go take all your wonderful videos and do this on YouTube and import it if you want. You don't want the whole world to see it, or put it on Vimeo or something.
Kind of automation.
Have it somewhere. Turn the volume down.
Sorry, no, that was me. I tried to respond to a comment, and every time I hit reply, it opens it and starts playing the video. Like,
it's all right. You want me to start singing? We'll do a little duet. And, you know,
that's
like,
right.
okay, we should have done that. What was I saying about that? Oh, as far as that, you'll get you can take an image shot, a thumbnail shot of your video, right? And you can do a hyperlink inside your email. So you then put an image in your email that looks like your video, and it's a thumbnail of your video, but then these click here to watch it, and when they click on it, it will hyperlink out to your YouTube channel, your YouTube. So at least they can go, or you can actually import videos into, you know, drop boxes and stuff like that if you want to do that. I mean, for me, if it's personal to the individual, then you need to figure out somewhere to import. You can save them in like LionDesk, but there's going to be size limitations. So you got to be careful on anything you import and put into the cloud, because there'll be size limitations. So, you know, and frankly,
have you done any free training videos for LionDesk users? Like, this is how to put a video in your LionDesk email? Because I've had a couple people ask that. And if you have anything on YouTube that I could link, I could drop it in here.
You know, funny, I haven't talked about video, but I'll be happy to create one. Yeah. I mean, I haven't actually done a video on it, but yeah, I mean, people can go to YouTube right now and YouTube me, and just like all the rest of us. I mean, if you've been in Karen's other group, you can, I've been chiming in there. Thanks for the help this morning, by the way.
My pleasure.
That's what we do.
That one, for those of you that don't have any sort of video component in your CRM, there's this free website called useloom.com. That's how I answered your question, Patti.
Yes.
It lets you record what's going on your computer screen, and you can either be on camera or not. So you can have your little face down in the corner or not, or it can just be you on camera. So it would look like this whole thing without sharing your screen. And you can say, hey, Joe, thank you so much for the lead. I can't wait to talk to you. You copy it, you paste the link into your email. They'll click the link and it will open. Or you can actually download the video and import it somewhere else. It would have to be a very, very short video if you were going to send it to somebody. But the link part works great.
I think to respond with somebody more personal like that, if you can do it, is so much more powerful too, you know, and you can plug links into your text as well. So instead of, and you can do it in LionDesk, or you can do it just like you said, just record it. And I actually use a texting on my computer. I transfer the text on my computer using Mighty Text. So I could do the recording and then take the URL from the Loom. If it's just going to be a quickie like that, and I do that all the time, like I can't sit here and type up an explanation to you. Like 99% of what I do these days. I mean, I get leads all the time for real estate, and I have a team now that handles those, because frankly, I don't want to talk to any more buyers and sellers now, but I'd rather talk to you fine folks. but you could, like, it's just like, I can't sit here and explain this by typing it. So it makes way more sense. And there's just so much more of a connection. So for you to take the time this morning, did it take more time to type up a response? Does it take more time to do a video? And frankly, I think for most of us, talking, because that's what we do best as realtors.
I agree. It takes so much less time for me to just bang out a 30-second video than to type it all out. Plus, then they get to see you, which is what they want.
Right. Well, I'm going to say, everybody, go ahead and make sure, we'll tell you how to find me. I mean, he's just on YouTube. I'll record, as soon as we get off here, I'll record a really quick training on how to do it in Line Desk. Easy.
That would be awesome.
It's funny, no one's ever asked me about that. I usually will only do recordings when someone's asking, and like, oh, the whole world might want to know how to do this. So
yeah, Trina specifically said, I want to know how to use video in Line Desk. So I'm thinking she wants to know how to record the video and how to put it in the email or the text message.
Yes.
So,
yeah, absolutely. I'll put a little blurb in there. And just as an FYI, I mean, I know we're going to get to this. You guys know that I offer services for this, and everything that you need from start to finish. And we can talk about that when we get there.
Cool.
But,
Gina had said, when you mentioned you want to know if they're a closed seller or a closed buyer, because they want different things. What sort of things are you talking about? Like, what makes the difference?
Good question. So my deal is, I'm not a fan of newsletters, okay? But for a closed seller, if you know that they've left the area, you want to make sure that they're on some sort of sphere campaign and or your newsletter. I had a home in Hawaii for years, and I made great friends with the agent over there. And when we moved and sold our house, I still hear from her in her newsletters, and I'm just enthralled with the area, obviously, and was sad to have to leave, but we did. And so, but I still get those. However, my problem with like newsletters is that a lot of times we're just out there buying these templates that aren't really specific to our worlds. And if you're going to do it, like, who's got time to create those every month? So for me, I will have a sphere campaign that goes out that will be not necessarily real estate related, but also remind them that I'm an agent in the area where I'm at, and also ask for referrals, so every email that you send should do that after you close a deal anyway. All right, now on a buyer, right? We know we closed a home with a buyer, and that buyer is living in Ironwood Village subdivision, which is one I used to live in. So don't you think they'd be interested in hearing what's going on in their subdivision? And the simplest thing you could do is send them updates every month on the activity that's going on, so they can track how well their house is doing. So you can set up a recurring email in Lion Desk to send a link back to your website and just send them to that subdivision to keep an eye on things. Even if you don't want to build you can do a CMA and all that crap, but who the hell's got time to go in and do that every month? So I kind of like, just send them over and see what's selling, what's going on the market. They're going to be looking to houses similar to theirs. Hopefully your website can draw people or can pull the closed stuff. Most of us can. I know I do. The other plus to doing that is you're driving them back to your website. Now, I set it up one time. So I know they closed in Ironwood Village. I have a link that stays real time, and here's this month's updates in Ironwood Village in the subject line. Yeah. So, Ironwood Village market update, right? So you then have this, you set it up one time, and you've got a standard template that's but that URL link is driving them back to a real-time link, right? Now, if you don't have a website that can pull it, you could send yourself a link from the MLS. The problem with that is most of our MLS links will go dead after a while, and right. So that in our case, in my Armless, it goes dead, I think, after 180 days or something. So that means you got to physically go in there and update that. And it's kind of a drag if you have to do that, but it's an option. And then they're going to be more happy to see that. And then you set it up, and you could set it up to go out for 20 years every single month. And once you set it up once, it's going, it's going, it's going. Okay, so now on that subject, I got on the first page of Google using my drip campaign in 4 months.
Your drip campaign?
Yeah.
How?
Everybody, when you get a second, run a search for North Phoenix luxury homes, North Phoenix bargain homes, North Phoenix affordable homes. So I was buying leads in North Phoenix through bold leads, which I don't recommend. I hope there's no bold lead lovers on here, but anyway, didn't matter because I got on the first page of Google with those leads. So what I was doing was buying them. And so every time a lead came in, I set them up to get recurring emails out of LionDesk. And that's one thing I love about LionDesk is that they're one of the few CRMs I've seen that actually allow you to build a letter to go out as often as you want it to. And it could be one template. So that's that monthly recurring template to your closed buyers and people is set up using that tool, right? And then what I did is I started to send, because I didn't have a website at the time that people could sign into and get listings from it. So I'm like, well, what the hell, I'll just send them to, I'll just do it myself. So I built it into my drip campaign to go out every 3 days. Every time I got a brand new lead, and I drove them back to the pages that I built specifically on my website that had all the tagging and everything on it to help. This is all about niche marketing, and I know you're really into that because you do your videos specific on your niches to Savannah. You need to have a niche to do this with, because the more people are drawn to you through your ads, you know, if you're running an ad for listings in, like, say, single level homes in Scottsdale, that's a niche, right? So right. I'm going to damn well have a email set up, built right into my campaign that's going to start sending it to them, not just one time because they signed up. You got to keep doing it over and over again. Now, if you run a search for North Phoenix luxury homes, good chance there's going to be 3 or 4 ads up there. And the first thing you're going to see is beautiful North Phoenix luxury homes for sale, all in caps by the AZ Excellence team.
That's what I searched for, the bargain homes, North Phoenix bargain home. There was one ad, and the very first result is you.
The first organic should be organic all the way across the board. And that was because when I was marketing in North Phoenix, I was marketing for 3 different price ranges, but I didn't want to assume that the consumers knew what I thought luxury was versus, like in my market, luxury is like 500. It's sucky, but it is what it is. So what are you going to do? So when I didn't want to assume, so I actually put 3 links in my emails, and I built 3 different pages. And if you click on the pages, you'll find that they're not even any listings. I give you a choice from that page to go somewhere else. But because of that, though, that organically now what we've done is, and just randomly, by the way, I'm not an SEO expert by any stretch, but randomly, I 4 months into this, I just ran a search to see, you know, what's going on with North Phoenix luxury homes. And there I was on the first page of Google. I have not left. I have not bought leads in 3 years from that.
Awesome. I love it. SEO is my bitch, baby.
Yeah, seriously. Like, I don't know jack about it, but this old lady who's pushing 60 is telling.
You are not.
Yeah, I'm gonna be 50.
Wow. Well, 50. You look good, girl.
Thanks. My body doesn't feel like that. No, but I'm just saying, this is the simplest thing you can do, and it's built right into the campaign. So once I knew I would, so the point on this is, you need to have you need a separate campaign for every single ad that you do. And if you are doing an ad on YouTube and you're offering something in that lead magnet that I've learned so much from talking to you about, putting a link on there, then you need to, when they sign up, they've got a landing page. So many of us are using, you know, listing the leads or whatever it is you're offering. You've got to have a link there to get people to sign up for something so you can collect their information, right? So if you're doing a Facebook ad, you're doing a landing page off of your YouTube videos, whatever it is, make sure that you've got somewhere that they're driving it, and then you send them what they signed up to get. So you got a child walking around in your backyard.
That's my daughter.
She's playing hooky.
Yesterday was the last day of school.
Already, wow, yeah, my husband.
Yeah, she'll probably be in a lot of my videos going for the next month.
You have to get her dancing behind you. So anyway, you want to make sure that you've got a separate campaign for every single one, because that's one of our downfalls, is that we just, like, I'm going to just blanket everyone with the standard campaign that's built into these CRMs, and frankly, they suck. And
that was going to be my next question, is right. Do you recommend just using those generic campaigns that come with the CRM that you buy?
But I will tell you, I have a business because of that, because they aren't realtors writing those things. You go into any of these accounts, and I've been in many, and the standard stuff they provide is junk for the most part. And it starts again with that subject line. If you go and look at them all, I mean, how many of them really identified them as being, if you got that sent to you, and that's what I say, send them to yourself. Would you open that? Would you know you were a realtor? Look at that stuff. Just start with the subject line, and then check the letters and see, is there any calls to action in these things? For me, it's always about educating and instilling trust, and not asking necessarily always for the business. You got to test the waters. You got to see, we got to have a whole discussion, come back and talk about content, because you want to make sure that you're providing value. And if you're doing a whole pile of videos from Karin's group, which I just am so impressed with. By the way, I tried to sign up last night. I missed the deadline. I was so mad.
That's okay. I got you covered.
Deal.
I got you covered.
Anyway, so if you're creating these videos, then these are great things to repurpose in all of your campaigns, because you're educating. But make sure that you're not trying to cast a net over the whole city. Like, I live in Phoenix. It's like 5th largest city in the country. The last thing I want to do, really, honestly, is to promote. Let's say, here's an example that's really challenging for me, because it's a huge city. It takes me almost 2 hours to get from one side of the city to the other. Wow. And that's without traffic, because I'm way up in North Scottsdale now. But if I'm doing an ad, say, for VA homes, or VA, loans, or, people that are in the VA, they could be anywhere in the valley. So you got to be sure, when you're target marketing, that you're going to be targeting it to the people that you want to see them, and then try to only work in that area. But I'm still struggled by it, because I have a hard time trying to send out listings all over the city, right? So I always want to send listings out, but I want it to be specific to the area. And if I just like do an ad over the whole city of Phoenix, I don't necessarily always know what area they're searching in. So to automate that is hard. You can get them to fill a form out, but then they fill the form out, it's coming back. You still have a hard time automating that part of it. So if you know that you're only marketing in Scottsdale, for instance, I know I'm going to get a list of single level homes in Scottsdale ready to go. It's going to be built right into the campaign. I'm going to take a great buyer campaign that I love. I'm going to clone it, and I'm going to edit those things in, the 3 or 4 things that have to go out specific to Scottsdale. I'm not reinventing a wheel. I literally could do this in 5 minutes, create a new campaign for every ad. So that's be niche-y, like really be niche-y, not like, oh, I want to cover the whole city, because unless you live in a little town, that just doesn't make sense, right?
I fully agree.
Plus,
all right, I'm going through, and I'm looking at all the questions, and I think that we covered all of them. Stephanie Sloan said, by the way, your campaigns are awesome. And so I want to be able to let you give a little plug for your business, because I know that you can teach the Lion Desk training, you can give them the drip campaigns, regardless of any CRM that they use, right? Where they're just getting the drip campaign, and you could import them into your own system. So tell people where they can find you about that stuff.
Well, thanks for the opportunity to do that. Yeah. So as I said, I've spent my entire career working mostly internet leads. So I talk about it a lot in everything I do, because it's the hardest thing to convert. And if I can get you to convert those, you can convert anything, right? So, and the fact that you do video and you're connecting with the people is 10 times better than just somebody signing up on YouTube, or not on YouTube, but on Zillow, for instance. Yeah. So I love that. But so what I do is I help agents to get automated and organized. My entire business these days is just because I want to help you do 2 major things. And one is I want you to get a campaign on for every single person in your database. And we can only do that first by cleaning it up and understanding who gets what. So that's number 1. And the second thing I want to do is help you to close at least a minimum of 1 more deal out of your database a month. At minimum. Now, I suspect we'll be able to do more than that if you've got a good clip of leads, or there's just old data in there and you need to like refresh them. So what does 1 extra deal a month look like to you in your income when you know what your average closing commission is, right? So what can that do for you, right? So that has been my focus, and I'm not here to sell lead generation. I'm here to help you close those leads, not start spending more money on leads unless you want to. But I'm going to tell you, don't do it. Don't spend all the time on your YouTube videos until you get a follow-up plan in place, because you're going to start getting leads. And you know how many people I talk to who shut their leads off because they got so many they can't control them? That's a good problem to have. But
Right.
how ridiculous is that? We're not set up ahead of time. So I provide, because I know it's tough, I provide training on CRM tools, and I actually know a lot of different CRMs, but the reality is I can probably get into any CRM if I've never been in it and set up a drip campaign probably within 10 minutes, because that's my focus. And most of them are very similar. So that being said, all of my current campaigns, and I've got campaigns for every kind of business for the most part, unless you're doing property management, because that's not really been my gig. And if you're a lender in this group, I've got lender campaigns getting ready to roll out. I don't know if you have lenders in the group or not, but and Spanish, by the way, I got new Spanish campaigns, so I'm so excited. Yeah, it took me a year to find 4 different Spanish agents to go through them all, because I don't speak Spanish. But so what I do is provide campaigns, and then I understand if I give you a campaign, I'm scared that you're going to get shoved out to ocean without any paddles, because you need to understand your tools, right? You need to know how to turn them on, you need to know how to shut them off, you need to how to deal with them when they start showing activity. So we go from database cleanup to understanding your settings, to understanding in your drip campaigns, editing your campaigns, and then integrating with other lead sources. So if you have automatic lead sources coming in, auto leads, they can come into the system. We turn on campaigns. We show you how to clone, all of that. And then I show you what I call the money module, how to manage and track the hot business. So you're not wasting your time on business that is not going to ever do anything with you. So we're going to identify that, and how are we going to track it, you know? So I take you from start to finish, but I have 4 different, it's a digital course that I have. I'll put a link in here, and I also want to give you guys a free campaign today as well. So I'm going to give you a link.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're going to get my free holiday video campaign, okay? Let me tell you what the link is. Where can I put it? If I put it in the chat, can I do that?
Yeah, that's great.
I'll put it in the chat, then you can put it in the group. Oops, that's not it. I got to go get it. So what I'm going to do is give you a holiday campaign that you can go into LionDesk and test it. So what I did was I put in video for 10 different holidays throughout the year in this campaign, and you could just turn it on today. And you don't have to edit it. You don't have to do anything. And the next thing to go out is in a couple of days in fact, I don't know if it's gone out yet. I have to check. You can go in and edit it and change the date on it, but the Memorial Day video is getting ready to go out. Sorry, I'm looking at my other thing here because it's bigger print. So let me give you the link for that. But so what I want you to do though is if it is built in LionDesk. So if you don't use LionDesk, then that's okay. I mean, you could still maybe throw 100 leads in there. Just export them out of wherever they're at. I'm trying to get to my Learn More page. It's hard to talk while I'm doing this, but so you can do that, and just try it. I mean, what's it going to hurt? If you get people writing you back and saying, "Oh, thank you," now you know they're still alive, right? That's kind of
you're in no better or no worse off than you were before.
Right, exactly.
And if they do respond and say, take me off your list, I'd rather you do that and I stop emailing you for 2 years, wondering if you're ever going to convert. If you don't plan to buy or sell a house, that's okay.
Right.
Well, turn off the campaign or just stop bothering.
And for those of you who just don't want to switch your CRM, I have almost all of my campaigns in Word. So you can take them and you can get to everything you need and learn everything about it on this link that Karen's going to send you here. I also have a free group you can join on Facebook, which you'll get the link here when she shares it, and you get into it, but it's Drip Campaign Mastery for Real Estate Pros. And I only let real estate pros in, so being lenders or real estate people or title folk. As a side note to anybody who cares, I do travel and teach this. I teach online. So if you want if you're a team or you have a brokerage that wants, if you're, know a whole bunch of people are using it, please reach out to me. We can work out something where you can do it very affordably to get me in and train in a large group type thing. My goal is this coming few years, my husband's retiring out of Scottsdale School District this week, 6 more days. Patty's got a lot to deal with when the husband comes home. I work from home. That'll be fun. But So my goal is to get out and share the love of lead conversion and not keep spending money on bells and whistles until we got this set up. I mean, this is my niche, is what I love to talk about. And I have tips and tricks for just about everything. So you can get to me through that link and learn more. And I'll text you out the code and how to get into it. When, in fact, I send a video. If you I text you out the code, and it's a video of me through LionDesk explaining to you how to get it. So that's what it looks like when you get it. That's what it's going to look like. Okay.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. That's really generous of you.
Yeah, well, that's fun. I mean, it's just a fun thing, and everybody can use it for sure. It doesn't matter who it is, buyers, sellers, whatever. So
cool.
Anyway.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all of this knowledge. I made a ton of notes in the comments of like, every time you just dropped a knowledge bomb, like, oh, this is some good stuff. So I wrote it all down, and I hope that some people will take advantage of your drip campaign that you're offering.
Oh, I'm so excited. I really appreciate you having me here. And yeah, check it out, folks. And then reach out if you guys need any help. But anytime, I'm going to be in your other group hanging out, and maybe I can get into this one here.
Yes, you are in. So, all right. Thank you so much,
Karin, and thank you everybody for spending some time with us. And I look forward to helping you out. Have a great day.
Thank you again.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.